Good job. Just gonna grab you. So you wanna sit next to me? Yeah, there we go. That's better, no? I'll feed you blueberries from time to time. Starting anything new is pretty lame. Is the truth. I started posting videos on YouTube. I started posting videos on Instagram. I started writing on Substack, and it all feels okay. Actually, the truth of the matter is it does feel lame when you relate to the world outside. That's what feels lame, because you don't get the response or the feedback or the response that you're hoping for. And so that's what actually feels lame. But internally, it feels great. And I think that's the work and that's the difficulty, is about separating what goes on inside of you when you do these things and what goes on outside of you when you do these things. And obviously, we do these creative endeavors to connect with parts of ourselves that we want to express. And maybe in the past, I think I had these ideas about what the response would be, and so kind of it's not matching to reality. But it forces me to also question why I do these things, And I've matured a lot, and I know that I do these things because I genuinely like it and I have something to express. But it does feel pretty it does feel lame. It does feel lame. But I think that's the true test of why we do these things. I think it's about how we relate to failure, or the idea of failure, or what art is. When you do these creative endeavors, it's because there is something inside of you that you're trying to express. And that can never be above, that can never be, like, the recognition or whatever that you want can never be above the genuine desire that you have to share and create and take up space. I think that's another thing, because I think part of the reason I do this is because I have the need to take up some space, creatively, psychologically. I just want to be seen, And I think it's testing my ability to show up kind of no matter what. But it does feel supremely lame to do that. And you have to go against it. That's the thing. You have to continue going even when there's no real reason to. Because otherwise what? Like, you don't share your art, you don't share what you have to say, you don't, like, what's the alternative? You don't do these things. I started like a YouTube channel 13 years ago. This is my third essentially attempt. And it's never left me. That desire, that wish to share, create, put myself out there has never changed. The only thing that's changed is how I sort of relate to it. And now I'm a bit older. I'm like, what is going to happen? Like, I don't do these things. I don't have real good advice on how to do it. But like, I think the desire to share, create has to be superior to anything else. And I think also have a certain self-esteem. I was shamed, I think, a lot. The reason I don't super care for, not that I don't care, but I don't really have a lot of hang-ups about the way I look. And I know some people struggle with that, but I don't really have. But what I do have a lot of hang-ups is about the stuff that I think, is about my ideas and my creativity and the thoughts that I express, which is exactly, my writing and my videos. It's about like showing up as myself and kind of expressing something into the world, something that I believe, something that I want to exist. And I think that's partly why it's so difficult for me, and why my journey has been like 13 years in happening, because I had a really hard time thinking that I had anything interesting to say. or show or create, while simultaneously feeling like I do want to. And that constant push and pull of something that I want to do, but something that internally I struggle with releasing because of the way I grew up, is a really hard place, you know? And especially when you finally get the courage to sort of do it and you don't get the response that you're hoping for, it does make you feel that the feedback from the world is making you feel like you're doing something wrong. And I guess my only circumvention around that, and the reason I still continue, is because for the first time I feel like I'm showing up as myself. I'm showing up as who I am. And I'm like, I can't be wrong. Because it's not, good job, my girl. Because it's not possible. It's not possible to be wrong while being yourself. Yeah, that's it. I think the only way to do it in a wrong way is to not do it as yourself. Because when you do show up and try to be who you are and, you know, create something that is a reflection of your internal world, it does make it more powerful because you have like something sturdy to land on. And it makes you feel like you can, like there's nothing else to be done. How wrong can it be to be myself? Like every other person says, you know, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. But yeah, it doesn't work. Or the recognition that you get or the response from the world makes you think that you're doing something wrong, even if you're not. And that's difficult. That's difficult. And the only way to keep going, I think, is because of that sturdiness that you have found inside yourself that allows you to go against these internal battles. And you do get better at it, I have to say. You do get better at figuring out what you're trying to say it a little bit better, and it sort of does, you see the improvement and also the self-satisfaction of just sheerly putting out something into the world that didn't exist before, and taking up some space for yourself and taking up something, you know. But it does, you feel lame, and but I think everything is on the other side of cringe. Everything that you really want is on the other side of that. There's a reason why I've had all these like ideas and thoughts and wants, but didn't actualize them. So I think it's, you know, at some point it is time to actually actualize them and to make them a reality, because there's no other possibility. Otherwise they'll continue to stay in my head, and they sort of fester. They sort of become like, also it's like a loop that you start to use your own, like, you start to punish yourself with it. It's like a double-edged sword where you, if you express your creativity, if you do actually what you want, yes, there might be some internal cost or some, in the sense that you do have to go against your cringe and you do have to deal with whatever response or non-response you're getting. And so the shattering of the imagined, of the shattering of the fantasy can be painful, but that's the price you pay for this clarity, because then on the other side of that you have clarity. But the unexpressed creativity and desire and want and need, the price of that is an internalized shame, because then you start to use that against yourself, as in like, maybe sometimes unconsciously, but you start to be like, one more thing that I failed at, one more thing that I'm not doing, you know, one more thing that I can feel a loser about. So really, what everybody has been saying, as in like everything you want is on the other side of cringe, is absolutely right. The reality of exactly how that feels is quite different. And the way I guess you deal with that is by anchoring yourself into you. And the way you get self-esteem, which is what it is by cultivating more and more, is by dealing with your past and cultivating more and more of who you are and embodying yourself fully, because then kind of it doesn't matter as much. It does matter, but not as much. Not as much, not enough to stop me, I should say. But there will be people with whom I have more difficulty showing up as myself, because that's really all it is, right? Like, you have these ideas when we take them so seriously, as if also it's gonna make it or break it. But there is like certain contexts in which I do wonder, like, you know, like I'm looking for a job. Is it gonna like stop me? Is it gonna be like? But the thing is, authentic expression and authentic alignment is actually what you want in your life. So if something is prevented because you have expressed yourself authentically, it's actually a gift, because it's a realignment to actually what you do want. Yeah, you have to just keep creating. For the sake of creation also. Because I think quite quickly you might have ideas about what you want to do, what that art wants to do. But I think it's, at least from where I sit, to not attach it to an outcome. Because that's all it is, right? You're trying to attach it to an outcome. You're trying to create something to gain something. But I think creation has to be about pure creation. It can't be measured in productivity, or it can't be measured in achievement, or it can't be measured in that. I think it has to stay pure. And purity is gotten by expression of the authentic self, which is multi-layered and incredibly complex. But yeah, you have to accept also to suck at something. You have to accept to be a beginner at it. Because I even see the videos that I produced like 2 months ago, and I can see the difference, you know? And I can see that more and more I refine and get into myself. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But yeah, you do have to accept to suck at it. You do have to accept that, you know, to be a beginner. And I think that's really what the mind is trying to protect us from the pain of the embarrassment, right? That's, you know, from the discomfort of being, you know, shunned away or judged or rejected or embarrassed. But if our brains had their way, I think we would sit in the middle of a dark room and not do anything and not move and not connect and not do anything, because that way would be safe, but we wouldn't be able to live. So yeah, I think this video is about how, if you think you're doing something and it feels lame to you, I think it's the right way. I think you're doing something worthwhile. Or rather, the idea that what you were doing was going to be worthwhile for somebody else. And you have to let go of the idea, because you have to connect to your own authentic self, and therefore create from a place inside of you. And that place is pure and beautiful, and you cannot control what anybody else outside of you does or thinks or wants, you know? You have to do it for you. But yeah, that feeling of feeling lame and cringe is, I think, unavoidable. And then what do you do? That was a really good blueberry. Yeah. Keep going. Keep diving deeper inside of you. It might not give you all the answers that you're hoping for, but it will do something, I believe. It will activate you in a certain way, and it will create something. Create maybe things that you don't expect. You have to stay open to possibilities that you haven't thought of. What actually, that's a good point. What has since I started like more seriously doing videos, etc., writing like maybe 3 months ago, I think it gave me the confidence to do things, because I think it taught me that yes, I didn't get the response that I was hoping for, but I didn't die. Nothing really happened. And I think that's actually the most important part, is to realize that it's okay. Is to teach yourself, maybe that's the thing, to teach yourself that you're going to be okay, that nothing, you know, bad has happened, or, you know, and you've survived, you're fine. And that's, I think, really powerful. So since I started to create, I got more confident within myself, because I'm like, yeah, it's good, it's fine. I think I did become better at writing. I did become better at filming videos, at editing, at like also creating. You get better at creating as you create, duh. And is there something else? And I have connected actually with a lot of people. Yeah. It's just like it's never enough, you know? Yeah. But that's judgment and a belief that something should be happening that isn't. But that's a fantasy. It's no longer, you know, in reality. So yeah, these three things have happened. I got better, I got more confident, I got better, and I have actually connected with people. Onward. Right? Lift your paw. Wow, that was nice, huh?